Davies, please.
Thank you. Mr. Chief Blair, I take it that you'd agree with me that your job as the Chief of Police of Toronto is to uphold the law?
Yes.
And you would also agree with me that the law that you're sworn to uphold includes the Constitution of this country?
Absolutely.
And part of that Constitution that makes up our law that you're sworn to uphold is the Charter of Rights and Freedoms?
Yes.
I think you also would agree with me that police are supposed to be accountable for their actions to the public and to the politicians.
I think the police must be accountable and are held accountable in the province of Ontario.
Okay. Your statement that you made in an interview with Mr. Steve Paikin, I'll put to you, I think you said that you wanted to make sure that innocent people were not victimized as part of one of your overall duties for the G20.
One of my duties is also the protection of the public.
Fair enough. And what about making sure innocent people are not victimized? Is that part of your role as Chief of Police?
That's correct.
Okay, you've heard the testimony of Mr. Gagnon, and I've had a number of students come see me who told me that in the University of Toronto grad gym in the early morning, over 70 to 100 people, I can't really get a square number, were awakened by police barging in with their guns drawn, kicked them in the ribs. They were loudly proclaimed that all of them were mass arrested for conspiracy. There was no evidence whatsoever of any conspiracy since every single person in that room had their charges dropped. They tell me that they had their hands zap-strapped behind their backs and they were led out, and just before they got outside to the media, their zap straps were taken off and they were put in handcuffs to be paraded in front of the media, and then when they got in the buses, they had the handcuffs removed and zap straps were put back on. Now, I take it you'd agree with me that since those people, none of them were convicted of anything, that they were innocent people who had their rights, their charter rights violated?
A decision was made to take those people into custody. It was based on reasonable and probable grounds, evidence that the police had available to them that caused them to believe that these people had been involved in a crime, and they were arrested for that purpose. A decision has subsequently made for reasons I do not question by a Crown Attorney not to proceed with those charges. And so I will agree with you that they are innocent of all charges, but the courts determine guilt or innocence. The police have to act on reasonable probable grounds and a reasonable apprehension that a crime has been committed, and that's what took place in this case.
Right. Well, if police arrest 70 people claiming that they have reasonable probable grounds and 70 out of 70 people have their charges dropped at first appearance, that would cause me, if I was Chief of Police, to have some serious doubt about the exercise of discretion from my officers who thought they had reasonable probable grounds. Well,
again, this is also the matter of a number of other legal
concern.
Well, let me tell you what I do agree with, if I may. I have reviewed the circumstances of that arrest. I have discussed with the Ministry of the Attorney General the legal reasons why those charges were not proceeded with. I don't disagree with the determination made by the Ministry of the Attorney General. At the same time, I am aware of the circumstances that led to the arrest of those individuals, and I believe that the officers were acting properly.
Well, let me
now, if there are allegations...
Who, Chief, made the decision to burst into that gym and arrest those 70 sleeping students? Whose decision was that?
The investigators who were investigating that case, and I must tell you that it's a very complicated case involving a great deal of evidence, which I'm not going to be able to disclose and discuss with you here today.
Can we have the names of those investigators, Chief?
I'm sorry?
Can we have the names of those investigators who made that decision?
I don't have them with me today.
Could you undertake to provide that to the committee?
Yeah, by all means.
Thanks. Now, in terms of accountability, I also understand that a number of police had their name badges covered up in the exercise of their duties. And you are on record, sir, as saying that you're aware of that. Whose decision was it for officers to be conducting their duties with their name badges and numbers covered up?
Okay, first of all, I have a rule in the Toronto Police Service. It's my rule. It's in accordance with the policy of my Police Services Board that our officers will wear their names displayed on their uniforms. You'll notice I wear mine.
Right.
All of our officers have this affixed to their thing. It's done with Velcro. It has first initial and last name, and it is a rule that they wear it. If an individual officer chose not to wear it, he's breaking a rule. Mm-hmm. And what I have stated is if they have made a choice to engage in misconduct by disobeying a rule of the service, that they will be held accountable
and be disciplined. Yes. And you said that a few months ago to Mr. Paikin that they would in fact be disciplined. Have in fact any officers been disciplined to this date?
Yes.
How many?
approximately 90 officers. We had 13 public complaints, but I directed that an investigation be conducted. We reviewed those thousands of hours of videotape that I made reference to earlier. We identified approximately 90 officers who were not wearing their name badges as required by our rule, and disciplinary processes have been initiated against everyone who was there by identification.
So, sir, that couldn't have been an individual decision of officers if 90 officers
I disagree
decided
completely
to.
with you, sir.
You think 90 officers, just by coincidence, all decided at the same time without talking to each other to cover up their names and badges when it's a rule of the Chief of Police of Toronto that they keep it displayed? Is that your evidence?
Individual officers make that choice. They're all issued with a name tag which has their name on it. If they chose to remove that name tag contrary to the rule, then they're held individually.
Sir, that sounds like a conspiracy to me.
Well,
if 90
Mr.
officers,
Davies,
it
may, but let me tell you, the matter was investigated very thoroughly, and individuals are held accountable for the choices that they make.
What's the level of discipline they received, sir?
It's still to be determined, but the discussion, I believe, is the loss of a day's pay.
Okay, I want to talk about the conditions of detention. We've heard from just about every source. People were toileting in front of themselves, deprived of medicine. They were deprived, you heard some of the testimony here today, people were deprived of the right to contact counsel, which is a clear violation of the Charter of Rights and the right of a person to contact a lawyer immediately or within a reasonable time upon being arrested. You know that as a police officer. What steps have you taken to investigate the conditions of detention where there were clearly constitutional and charter breaches that occurred in that detention center?
Again, I'm not sure it's as clear as you've indicated. Unfortunately, there's a great deal of evidence available to us. There are allegations that are being investigated by the OIPRD, as I've referenced. He has not yet completed that investigation. It would be inappropriate for me to comment or to make a determination prior to him doing his job. It's an important job. We are cooperating fully with him. He's been given access to all of the information and all of the evidence, and my officers are cooperating with him in that investigation, and he's doing that work. We have also made available to those authorities and to the public access to that facility so that they could see precisely what the conditions were there. There were a number of allegations made. There was some consistency in those allegations. One of the allegations, for example, that was made was very early made to the public and the media, was allegations of sexual assault. When it became more public knowledge that there were video cameras there, those allegations were withdrawn, but there were a number of allegations made. We were processing a lot of people. We were faced with a rather difficult logistical issue of moving people through that. I believe that there were some delays as a result of the number of people processed, but we had in place the facility and the resources to ensure that people's rights were afforded to them. We had legal counsel on premise. We have phones available to them.
Well, sir, hundreds of people have said their rights were violated.
Your time is up. Thank you, Mr.